This is
Right.
nice. Okay, thanks. So you will actually see how networking has kind of benefited. If I kind of reflect on, I have always made the statement, right, that CFO Bridge is a creation of LinkedIn. You will find networking, LinkedIn, I will bring them kind of closer and closer. But networking is not all LinkedIn. Networking is a lot more than that. But for lack of anything else, I will kind of rely on LinkedIn most of the time to drive the point. A company like CFO Bridge, which got created, survived growth just on LinkedIn. Okay, we are very much a product of LinkedIn, and you all know that none of the partners are known to any of us. All of them came. Even Mugundan, who did articles in my same firm, he also came via LinkedIn. And then we got to know that yes, we did articles in the same firm. Okay, so that's the power of LinkedIn. So everybody just come via this LinkedIn, and it's all about network. So we'll just talk about what exactly it is, and we'll give you some tools to analyze and some framework to think in my mind, in your own mind, saying how do you want to actually approach networking, right? So hopefully we will get to. So we talked about digital. That's what Ravi also mentioned. The 21st century is a digital era where everything is digital, where the skill sets that is required to survive are very different than the skill sets that you probably have used in your previous era. And people like us, we all, who are 45 plus, we all have gone through the era, and the rate of obsolescence of things have changed. I was just talking to Vritti and I was telling her, do you know of a tape recorder? She says, I don't know. Floppy disk, I don't know. And so some of these things that you don't know, and we all have used it. We grew up in the era of a tape recorder, which is completely gone now. Everything is digital, right? I think there was an era where I had a fantastic library of DVDs and VCDs, and about 6 months back, I took the hard decision of throwing it all away. Not required. There is on demand now. You got Netflix. So right, the skill sets are rate of obsolescence is very fast, and it is happening right here, and it is happening in the skill set area where we are falling behind. That's really very, very important. So you need to really reflect about it in your mind, saying how you will do that. And Ronnie Screwvala, once he mentioned, I was there in front of him at the time. Ronnie is a good friend of Vishal. Vishal is a good friend of Srini. Therefore, Ronnie is a good friend of Srini. So that's about networking, right? So Ronnie mentioned that any skill that is limited to doing things that are repetitive is going to go away. That's all he said. It's gone. He even said it's gone. That job doesn't exist. Now just imagine how many things that we are doing which are repetitive. So our job is kind of under threat. Everybody is saying the accountant's job is under threat. So how can you do things which are not repetitive? How will you actually think about it? And you need to learn about it. So skill sets are becoming very different. So it's got nothing to do with networking. This is just to amplify to you that the skill sets that you need to survive are going to be very different, and bots are here to take over, right? And then networking is the greatest intangible asset that you all can have, or everyone can have, and benefit out of that. I will give you some framework. As I said, it basically starts from nothing. So we will analyze the network into various components and see what can happen, how things can work. So it basically starts with nothing. In the olden days, if you really 10 years back, you can hardly have about 400. I always used to say I've got some 400 to 500 business cards. Highly networked guy. The Americans use this term Rolodex. Rolodex basically means you can actually it hangs in there where you can put all your business cards, and then you can just rotate it to C. It rotates from A to Z. You should not say A to Z, right? It's like American, A to Z. And then it works that way. So that's called the Rolodex. You could have hardly had maybe about, in my entire experience, I would have probably acquired about 400 to 500 business cards. Today, what's my LinkedIn connection? 8,500 followers, close to 6,000 connections. That means I have 6,000 business cards, right? Digital business cards in my hand. So that's it has grown 10 times. That's the possibility. Now, what have we done with that is what we are going to discuss that, right? I'm just giving you an example of the digital, non-digital era to the digital era, how things have actually changed. Of course, relationship. So first is you start with the network. Networks are not yet relationship. Let's understand that. It's the first point of starting. You and me, we are a network. For example, me and Ravi Kumar Ramanan, or you and Ravi Kumar Ramanan, till yesterday were network. You knew each other, you could have liked him, he could have liked you. It is just a network. Now, what is a relationship? Relationship is something where you have made a transaction. It happens only when there is a reciprocal transaction. That's a relationship, not even one-way transaction. आप मेरे को क्या किया, मैं आपको क्या किया. This is the reciprocal transaction. When it has happened, it is a relationship. Otherwise, it is simply a network. Network in itself is not going to help you in any way. Network is at the bottom of the pyramid. Network has to become a relationship by establishing a reciprocal transaction. You need to do something, a favor or a help or a transaction. Let's just say a transaction to the other guy. The other guy has to do a transaction to you. Ye dono ho gaya, that becomes a relationship. Now, once again, networks can be of various things. Relationship also can be of various things. You could have helped somebody else, but relationship may be pretty rudimentary. And then it can become, relationship can become a lot more solid, and then it becomes, relationship can become friendship. And, it can, the ship can actually cruise from one set of waters into another set of waters. And it can take it up to the next level. But where it's the relationship that will get you something out of your network. And its pure network will not get you anything out of that. Okay, so that's a very interesting thing. And another concept is that vintage networks are very valuable. Your network, there has to be an age attached to your network. Then they become a lot more valuable. A very new relationship, very new network compared to more vintage network, they are very, very valuable. They are very different. So you can think of that in your mind. And then it also matters, how do you engage your network? The point that I'm saying is dormant network versus engaged network. That's the next concept that I'm going into. A dormant network means, yes, I have 5,500 connections. I don't engage with them at all. And there are many of them are dormant. Actually, if I really go back and put a sieve and really see how many people are dormant, I don't even know. Probably half them will not qualify to be your network. And that's the same thing with your business cards also. You go back, I frequently go through my business cards and throw away some of them that I don't need. And you do that regularly. So you need to engage your network. And one of the techniques that I use is, from time to time, I have a simple view that even, there has to be an engagement. Something has to be engaging. So from time to time, I also post something which are controversial. It's not necessary that the guy has to agree with you. Engagement means engaging. You are engaging him. It did not necessarily be that you are agreeing with each other. It's engaging. So you post something controversial, it makes people think, right? You say something very anti, and it just makes people think, then they remember you. See, everything is like a node. The node ke beech mein thoda electricity jana chahiye idhar udhar. Then only the node actually is activated, and then it has an ability to become a relationship. Now, to do that, it is not necessary that you need to always, see, unfortunately, in social media, there is only a like button. There is no dislike button. Even an obituary, you post, you have no choice other than to like that. Nobody likes, why would you like an obituary? You have to write a comment on it, but we don't, we just like it, right? So there is no dislike button. It's not given. Now, of course, within like, they have given you 3 or 4 emoticons, but they have not really given you a dislike. So you have to engage. So that's, we think that, we will only like in social media, not necessarily it is the emotion that we are giving. Our emotion could be very different, but we are forced or compelled to use only a like button. So understand that when you are engaging with your network, so you need to engage your network, not necessarily all the time with. There are many times when I go into somebody else's posting, I actually look for one of the techniques that I have always used is I look for another more famous guy, someone who has also 5,000, 6,000 relationship. अगर उन्होंने कुछ post कर दिया, I will go there and put a controversial remark there. That will, I have actually seen my number of people visiting me, number of people knowing about me is actually increasing, and people will say yes or no about it. It's okay. You don't need to be a, conformist all the time. You have to engage your network. Understand that. To engage your network, you need to feed them. They need to be thinking about you. And I'm talking mostly about LinkedIn. That's all I'm saying right now, right? I think so. You need to engage your network. Keep that in mind. And then if you want to really engage in a lot more things, not necessarily everybody will be interested on a common topic. So you may want to form certain groups. Bring your network into certain groups. Somebody may be interested in health. Somebody may be interested in CFO topics. Somebody may be interested in digitization. Somebody may be interested in sports. So you may want to get certain groups and then you can talk, because nobody is going to be interested in all topics all the time. So you will, bringing them into certain topics will help you to have a more sharper interaction with your network. And then, yeah, it's difficult to engage a large network on one topic. And then network groups can be, this is a very interesting one. You have to understand this, picturize in your mind. Sponsors. A sponsor is a guy who bats for you, who makes a business case, and he persuades others to help you. There are a lot of sponsors in your network. You need to identify who is your sponsor. It is very, very important to find some sponsor. You must have few sponsors in your network. Who will say, boss, मैं आंख बंद करके इस बंदा को मैं help करूंगा, because, and I can tell you another thing, in my experience I have seen, social media or network is full of people who are waiting to help you. You will have to believe this. There are everybody else who is waiting to help you. So in order to enlist them to help you, you need to kind of figure it out, saying that, yes, these guys are sponsors. They will bat for me and they will vouch me. They will, guys who are recommending, guys who are saying that, yeah, I know this guy, please help him. And that's, if you don't have sponsors, then you will not be able to get any help out of. You can't always ask for a help and it will come to you. Sometimes the help that you need, another person has to say, and he may be more influential in his network, and that therefore you will get the benefit. So then there is a guy called mentors. And mentors are the guys who share wisdom, but they don't promote you. Okay? And they will just say good things and stuff like this, which may do. And then there are colleagues. Colleagues will fall into various groups, peers, and bosses and seniors. They also will be in your network. And they may fall into sponsor, mentor, or they may remain dormant. But bosses behave, seniors, they behave in a very different thing. They will expect you to like what they post. They will expect you, they will think that they are engaging you because they expect the thick line is flowing through. And therefore, if I do something else, I would expect everybody else to, just come and be active in this. And then weak and dormant, rarely helpful, but might surprise you sometimes. So weak and dormant will be at the bottom of your pyramid, and quite a lot of them will fall within that. So you got to just keep this in mind, and each one will behave very differently, and it will help you in your network. This is not necessarily LinkedIn. I'm just using LinkedIn as something for you to imagine. It may even work even outside LinkedIn, and this is how you should kind of keep this picture in your mind. And networks requires you to get out of your comfort zone. So you have to, how do you create a network? And one of the exercises that you can do is, whenever you are going by a public transport, try talking to a stranger, completely stranger, and try talking to him. How many times do you talk to your neighbor in your airplane or in your train? Train, though, mostly we end up talking, because train is necessarily, it is a longer journey. So you end up talking, but the airplane is about 1.5 hours of journey. How do you talk? So someone with whom Shilpa talked about could even has started working with us as a supporting CFO Bridge in quite a lot of, and he has given a lot of business to us. Steer Advisors, the guy who is an investment banker who is working with us, is because Shilpa just ended up talking to a guy next door, right? In the plane. So, example, there are several guys to whom I would have spoken. I mean, there was a time, I cannot say I am actually in network, but I was sitting next to Bipasha Basu, and we were flying to Hyderabad. I didn't talk to her for 90% of the journey. Last 10 minutes, we were about to land, and she started talking to me, and then I started talking to her. Then we realized that, oh, you are a finance guy. Then she started asking me some very genuine questions on finance and stuff like this. We ended up talking. I have not collected her phone number, but I am just saying this happens, right? I think, then you had a very, and I will tell you, I have met with a lot of interesting guys in the most unexpected places. And you need to make that effort to talk to them. Only when you talk to them, you will realize that there are some interesting guys. Try talking to a stranger in public transport. This is just to practice networking. You have to become an obsessive, compulsive networker. If you have to be, it's not just collecting. I mean, particularly I'm looking at both Himanshu and Harshit. You guys have gone to these Tycon and Ascent and even the other events. And these are things that kind of helps you when you are going for an event where the guys have gone to SME event in Chennai. And how do you actually, you will find, you will probably tell me, give me anybody else who has gone to attend an event in a TIE or NASCOM or something like this. How many business cards you took with you and for your own business cards, and kitna diya, kitna wapas leke aaya? 10%, 20% you gave, 80% you brought it back, or 50% you brought it back, or you ran out of the cards. And how many times it has happened? Think about it. Those people who are going, you don't need to give me an answer, just think about it. My experience is that I brought back most of the time more than half of that. So, मैं सोच के I am going to be the most popular guy, सबको बांटने वाला हूँ. जो आया है उधर, everybody is a popular guy. So they think that way. Why would they talk to you? They are looking for more popular guy. And so, ये कुछ होता ही नहीं है. So, but you will have to make the effort and talk to them. It may help. It has actually helped. Some very amazing events people have helped us in situation where we have not realized it. So you have to take the effort to actually talk to the people. And then this is a very interesting thing. You need to sit somewhere else and reflect on what you are, what you could be. Draw a kind of a mental map. What you are, what you could be. I hope there is a gap. There should be a gap, because the gap actually represents the gap can be narrowed by networking. What you are and what you could be can only be narrowed by networking. And I can tell you. And there is no other example other than that of, CFO Bridge today, where we are, what we are, is all because of the efforts of networking and networking and networking, nothing else. We are just a product of networking. We haven't done anything super, because there is no big intellectual property of CFO Bridge, right? What is it that we are doing? We are doing what we have been doing, FP&A. And, we have all done that for 20 years. You guys have done it for so many years. That's what we do, right? So there is no big IP. The IP is the network. That's the IP. IP is the brand. Brand is nothing but the network, right? We can say that the brand. So understand. So how you are, what you are, and what you could be, and it is a moving target. It will never be the same. What you are and what you could be. 1 year, 2 year, 3 year down the line, it all will be very different. And the gap can only be narrowed by networking. Just imagine this. And what is the gap composed of? And then quantity over quality. This is just another thought process. The tip is that go for quality in the beginning and quantity later. When you are beginning, when you are just starting to do the network, don't go for quantity. Quantity is for Srinis. More vintage guys. 5,000 network I have got. Now I should go for 10,000 network, right? You should go for getting some 50, 100 high quality guys who are engaging one-on-one most of the time. You build quality, and then on top of that, you build quantity. Quantity should be later. Don't go for quantity in the beginning. If you go for quantity in the beginning, you have a likelihood of getting lost in the overall maze. So that's just another tip. Now, quantity is important since each, and then this is a very important thing. Quantity is also important at some point of time, because in the node, just imagine it is a neural network, right? You know about neural network, everything is a node. So a weak node might as well result in something a stronger node. And a strong node might result in a weak node. You don't know. You have no control on what a node does because you are away from, you are the central, you are a couple of nodes away from this. So just having quantity always helps, because your weak node could result in a strong node, and the strong node might be helping you. And, and then it doesn't matter how many nodes, second relationship, third relationship, fourth relationship, how many tiers that you are away from a node, it really doesn't matter, because sometimes it can actually come. So, and it is not a arithmetical, understand the arithmetical progression and geometric progression. Arithmetical progression is something that goes in linearly. Geometric progression is something that just goes a non-linear progression. For it to be non-linear, you need to have quantity also. The quantity leads to non-linear progression in your network, and non-linear network will actually help, because that guy, the second node, third node, he brings in more guys thinking that they are going to be helping you, and you don't know. And then, you become a community, and then you start picking up there. And this could have resulted in your friendship also, you can imagine. Not just look at your own friendship, circle of friendship. Not necessarily everyone is something that you have cultivated. You have cultivated a friend who has cultivated another friend who could be your close friend now. It is quite possible that the friend who introduced is no longer your friend. Right? So this is the effect of network. Just imagine this. So quality, quantity, just imagine, and then play a balance between quality and quantity. You should always have good quality and good quantity, and then it should work. And then it is okay to ask for help. And I will tell you, don't shy away. There is nothing to be ashamed of. What's the point in having a network and if you are not going to ask for help? You got a network, ask for help. Absolutely, perfectly okay to ask for help. And then be prepared to reciprocate as well. Okay, if somebody will ask for help, and you should be prepared. You are allowed to ask. Most of the time, you won't get unless you ask for it. I have written a thing. Even a baby has to cry for mother's milk. That's how the God has created the world, right? And we all know mother will naturally feed the baby. But mother doesn't know when the baby needs milk. Baby has to cry. This is nature's law. Only, the crying baby gets the milk, and whatever it is, there are so many sayings in different languages. So you have to ask for help. I don't know what help you need. You ask for it. So that is one of the reasons why, even if you go to a temple, or even if you go to any other place where you are allowed to ask, you can say, God knows everything else. God should give me, theoretically. But you are allowed to ask. You are supposed to ask. You must ask. God doesn't know everything else. He has got so many other duties. So, so you better ask. And the guy who asks the loudest probably gets the most preference, right? So you have to ask. And then, and in a network, it is also okay to negotiate. Do not think that, oh, yaar, network ke main to help mang raha hu, how do I negotiate? Don't think that, your position is kind of inferior. You can actually negotiate what you are asking for, and it is perfectly okay to negotiate. Many times it happens. You don't need to necessarily do things the way it is asked for. And then the more senior you get, the more you will be asked for. I mean, like, for example, I get something like about in LinkedIn, or in my email, or in my WhatsApp and stuff like this. In a week, at least 2-3 people ask me for helping them with their employment or helping them with something. So at least 2 to 3 guys who ask me. And I would think that, not necessarily senior means not by vintage. Senior means senior by your network. The moment you cross 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 guys, and the bigger that your network is, be prepared that there will be more guys asking you than even what you are asking. Which basically means if so many people are asking you a lot of things, and if you are responding, which means you are not asking enough, you should also start asking. Perfectly okay. Right? So that's the golden rule. And then helping and being helped happens with no one-to-one correlation. It's a karma theory. What I have seen this theory, right? The nodes which I have told you. I help a node here and I get a help from the other node, which is far away from me. I have no connection. I help somebody else to find something, some fundraising, or the guy is asking for some tax query or some query. There are many times when young people ask me to help them in choosing the career course or choosing education and stuff like this, which I take time, and then I help them. And the next day morning, I find a lead sitting in my inbox. Absolutely no correlation. So who you help, what you help for, what help you get will have no correlation. The world has a very fussy logic, but it balances it out. In my opinion, very humble opinion, is that it is not a one-way traffic, that you will only get help. ऐसा नहीं होता है. You will only, यार, I am only helping people. मेरे को कुछ मिलता नहीं है. ऐसा हो ही नहीं सकता. It just balances up. If you are actually helping a lot of people, you will also get help. And then, which one you want to do first? You choose. Asking help or helping people, it's up to you. You can have your own individual strategy. And then helping has got two dimensions. Understand this. Capacity to help and willingness to help. More often than not, we make a mistake of asking for help to a guy who has capacity and no willingness, who has willingness and no capacity. You need to have both of them. So when you are asking for help, please understand, does he have the capacity? For example, if somebody comes and asks me, how do I send a rocket to moon? I have a willingness to help. I have no capacity to help. Right? So you have to have both the capacity to help and the willingness to help, and ask him for that help. And it will, you have to just balance between these two things. So it will kind of balance it out. And reach out to your network regularly. Results will be mixed. No response, excitement, some response, immediate. And there are golden rules that people don't. If you get 20 to 30% response, you are doing great. Okay, do not expect that everybody is going to respond, and people are waiting to hear from you in the morning. They wake up from the bed only to hear from you in the morning. No, nothing like this. Okay, so you get some minimum response. You are doing great, and you can actually see in LinkedIn once again what do you, and this is the biggest problem, right? You post and then you are kitna like hua, how many things you are waiting there with bated breath. Get upset when your likings are not come within this time, and also don't worry about it. You have done your job. Let universe do it. Let it both jobs, right? And I mean, there are lots of people who are out there determined to help you. And I figured it out as I kind of started cultivating the network, is that I do know that completely unrelated people have come out and they have helped us. Why they should help us? For example, when I first went to Bangalore, to establish a branch in Bangalore, a guy called Sudhakar Balakrishnan, who is now running a company called First Meridian, he came out of Adikyo, and Ramki might know him. Sudhakar called me and he said, Srini, I am very excited with what you are trying to do, because he was in the people business. He kind of realized that this is a very interesting thing. And those are the guys who are living in Bangalore, you will know. The first meeting of CFO Bridge was held in Adarsh Farm Retreat in Marthahalli. So, which is the number one topmost where the rich people live in Bangalore, or the richest people live in Bangalore. That's where the first meeting happened of CFO Bridge. So he took me to his office and he gave me an office. And in fact, he put up, even without me telling him, he put up a huge board of CFO Bridge on our first office in Jayanagar. And that office existed even after long back, after we vacated also. He didn't, I had no clue as to why he should help me. Even today, thereafter, he just disappeared. Today, I don't know him. I have not checked. But of course, I sent my regards to him when he started this company called First Meridian. But why should he help me? I don't know him. He doesn't know me. And he is not going to get any benefit of this. But he still kind of helped me. I mean, just giving you one example. And you will think about it. You will know how many people have actually helped. And this is cultivated out of a network. Sudhakar was introduced to me by another guy whom I rarely know in Bangalore. He introduced me, a weak node, introduced me to a strong node, And that guy helped me without even having any correlation why he should help me. And because of him, we started getting, very, very strong grounding. And he introduced us to Unitas. Unitas gave us a lot of work. And then, our Bangalore office got started. I have no explanation. Just sharing with you a lot of personal. I mean, I can go and share a lot of personal examples. They can only help you. And of course, they can only help you if you know what you are and what help you want, who you are. So people might disappoint you and you will also, unless you go and tell them who you are, they will not help you. So therefore, you should constantly tell them who you are, what help you want. And then I said, disappointment is better than being dormant. It's just one technique that we use to ensure that people don't remain dormant, so that you are able to cover most of your network and you are able to engage your network and seeing. Yeah. And then, of course, fish where the fish are. You need to really understand where you will get that help, how you will get that help. You need to really ask for that. So, and of course, body language is absolutely more important. Showing genuine empathy. I just thought, I don't know whether I can show that. Earlier I shared that about empathy and it's a kind of a graded graph. I'm not sure whether we can. I will try and show you this graph in a second. Hope this works. It's not working. I think it is going. Give me a second. So, is this visible now for you guys? Right? And just see this. This is the graph. Willingness to act to support understanding of the other's experience. Both of them are the two dimension. It is a superb graph that has actually influenced me very greatly. And it starts with the less and more, two dimension, and the less understanding and the less willingness to act to support is pity. It's just like pressing the like button. Actually, it's nothing more. You are not doing anything more than that. This is, I feel sorry for you, is what it is. And the contrary also, I feel happy for you is what it is. I just feel and I tell you. And then I feel for you is sympathy, going one step further. And empathy is I feel with you. So you undergo the same emotions what the other guy has. And compassion is I'm here to help. So how, you can't really make people travel in this area because, particularly the more or less this dimension, particularly this dimension is their own thing. You can't really influence this. But understanding, at least one dimension, you can try and influence them and try and see how you can influence them to get and then travel in this particular graph of pity, sympathy, empathy, and compassion. And compassion doesn't necessarily mean that you always need other person's compassion to, therefore हमारा कुछ कमी है ऐसा सोचने का नहीं है. I mean, the God is said to be the most compassionate of all, right? So being compassionate is not necessarily in front of someone who being compassionate doesn't necessarily put you describe you as a smaller or anything like this. It is, you are perfectly okay. And you will also be reciprocating to somebody else there. So that's fine. I think showing genuine empathy, smile are important. And fake in the beginning, as the Americans say, right? Fake it till you make it is very important. So faking is one way of getting in there. And sense of humor helps, I have always seen. So we are going to do a humor very soon. We'll tell you how it is. Of course, listen. Everybody has said this. Be genuine. Anybody can say all these ideas. And follow-up is key. In my example, I have seen, I've always said this, the best time to follow up if you have asked somebody for a help, you ask them on a Tuesday afternoon. That's the time they are willing to help. Universal rule. Personal experience. Monday, they are busy attending their own problems. Okay. Tuesday, Thursday onwards, they are preparing for the weekend. Friday, they are actually on the weekend. Saturday, Sunday, to uska weekend hai. Then Tuesday morning, till the time they are kind of done with their problems, They are looking around. Arey, kaun hai bhai? Kisko help karna hai? So your mail goes there, you ask him, and he says, wow, here is a guy asking for my help. I'm going to help him. Personal experience. You can try. It works better on Tuesday and on Wednesday. Beyond Wednesday, it is lost. To us, yeah. Correct. Everybody looks for. You can keep it as a trade secret also. Yeah. Of course, it's a very commoditized world. So do one thing that is different, kind of puts you in a, for example, if I have to tell about myself, while I write about a lot of finance and other thing, I write about sleep. And that kind of, I have chosen that as my area. And I'm surprised that still I continue. I mean, there's one guy who has joined me. I thought I am the only guy talking about sleep. Now there is a guy called Khurshid Batliwala. I don't know how many of you know about him. Khurshid Batliwala is now number 2 to Sri Sri Ravi Shankar in the Art of Living Foundation. How come? Yeah. So Khurshid talks about sleep. And the good thing is Khurshid exactly says the same thing which is in my blog. So I am not saying he's copying me, but I'm saying he says exactly what I say, or probably there is only 500 things to be said. So I'm happy that Khurshid is talking about sleep. So you have to talk about something which is different. People should know you. Even there are many places where even before I get introduced as a CFO partner, Are, Srini ke bare mein jante ho kya? Srini talks about sleep. I am telling you, I'm absolutely being genuine here. Me talking about sleep has won as many clients than me being a CFO partner. And I'm telling you this. Seriously. People then ask me, अरे ये सब छोड़ो श्रीनी, मेरे को नींद नहीं आता, तेरे को कैसा करने का बताओ, मेरे को 2-3 ट्रिप दो ना. People ask me. So when I give them a tip and a trick, that becomes a center thing. And then, it's about storytelling, right? Moving away from the fact. It's being transactional, asking him for a CFO work and stuff like this. But if you tell him my interest is about sleep and, this and that, and all, last time I went there, or being a roadie, I went on a Narmada trip and stuff like this. I try to genuinely talk to them and see when my radar is scanning them. Boss, ye banda ka interest kya hai? What interest? What excites him? Bollywood, which I don't know much, and or he is interested in politics, which everybody knows today. Everybody knows about rail accidents, and everybody is an expert on economy, Fed, interest rate hike, and everything. So anyway, I'm just saying you got to figure out what is the other person's interest, and if you are able to actually click with one of them, then your network is aligned. They know, ठीक है यार, Srini के बारे में I know. Then if I want to sleep, then I can ask Srini about sleep. And a lot of people genuinely asking me about how to sleep, and I put them to sleep. And one of the last very important advice is learn also to de-network. Toxic relationships. There are, Adam Grant. If you guys don't follow him, please follow Adam Grant in LinkedIn or in any social media. He's the one guy who talks about organizational psychology. He talks about how to identify toxic relationships. Toxic relationship is a simple thing. It just, there's a saying, is one bad apple in a basket of good apples makes every apple go bad, right? Toxicity actually spreads very fast. So you have to identify what is toxic to you. And I can tell you what is toxic to you need not necessarily be toxic to me. I could be a Neelkant, right? What is a Neelkant? Toxicity इधर से नहीं जाता है, मेरा इधर रुक जाता है, ठीक है ना? So I could be a Neelkant of your toxicity. So not necessarily. So, but you need to know what is your toxicity, what doesn't work with you. And if you consider that in your relationship में कोई toxic है, हटा दो. There is no point in trying to change them. They will not change. Because in as much as you are trying to change them, they are trying to change you. So आप दोनों इसी में लटक जाएंगे. बस you will never be able to get anything done from your network. All this thing I am talking to you is about getting something done from your network, right? How to benefit from your network, how to make a network, how to benefit from your network. So you have to toxic, please understand, you define your own toxicity, and whoever is not within that framework, हटा दो उसको, कोई जरूरत नहीं है. There is no point, right? They say a very nice thing. Don't fight with the pig for 2 reasons. A, you will get dirty, and B, the pig likes it. You don't like it. So argument doesn't take you anywhere else. So, if you think that you are arguing like a pig with anybody, just get out of it, because you are going to get dirty and the other person is going to like it. I see this all the time, right? I mean, I get a better experience of this being the secretary of my society, where everybody throws stones at me. I'm not looking at you, Vinay. So people throw stones at me, and I see that, and I mean, that guy doesn't even know me, and suddenly he makes me, feel toxic about the comment that he writes, because let's understand, somebody made a very, very important comment. Social media is the biggest anti-social thing. There is nothing social in the social media. It is, and then, politeness is gone. Right? It's the biggest statement. I think I circulated that sometime back also.
There's a wheel, no? You don't know who's behind the wheel.
Correct. So let's understand. So toxicity, if it is natural for somebody to be toxic with you, just step away from them. Don't even have them. And if somebody is always asking, you can also figure it out. If the guy is asking you too much, then I think it is better to stay away from him, because I think this guy is trying to defy the karma theory. काम नहीं करेगा आपका. He's gone way beyond the karma theory. इतना पूछ रहा है बंदा तो कितना दूं उसको. So you have to actually understand that यार ये नहीं करने का, and you should come out of it. I think all that I am talking about networking is for you to create a network and ask for your network and benefit from the network, and how to create a network. It's not necessarily about being in LinkedIn and stuff like this. These all of you young guys are at some point of time you will be CFOs. As Ravi Kumar has mentioned, right? Life is about a pyramid. Okay, life is not. It's not just like a river flowing. That every water will move ahead. Okay, river ke liye okay, but in pyramid, very well that if there are 5 guys in a department and if a supervisor leaves, only one of the 5 can become the supervisor. It is rule that is given. So आगे बढ़ने का, also we know necessarily that it is going to always put you in a conflict. आगे बढ़ो. So, I always say that Mumbai is the only city, put a sarak, आगे बढ़ो. That's what everybody says, right? This is one city where you hear this आगे बढ़ो every day, not only in your office. You go to train, you go to bus, everywhere is आगे बढ़ो. So आगे बढ़ो, but कैसे बढ़ेगा? Pathway is limited. Soft skills, these kind of things will only take you. So if you have a sponsor, go back to my point that I said, if you have a sponsor or within bracket, godfather, there has to be a godfather. If you are in an organization, you need to cultivate a godfather. And see, we are all social animals or social beings, I'll call animals. Social beings, which are social beings, therefore, you need social skills to move forward. Networking is a compulsive social skill, and it has turned digital. You can use all the principles that I have said can work on digital or on physical. I think it will really help you to move forward. So I'm going to stop presenting, and I'm going to open up the floor for questions. Let me know who is going to ask the question. Questions?
Dinesh here.
Yeah, Dinesh.
My in quite a lot of places you alluded to body language. I think you need to give 1 or 2 examples of this body language. What do you mean by that? Because it's a very how you are presenting yourself. It can be about attire. It can be about how you shake hands with someone. I mean, what is it? 2 things or 3 things you want to talk about?
Yeah, super. What I try to ensure is that when I am showing an emotion, right? If you all have seen a Bharatanatyam dancer, which I think you are one of them, right, Divya? What a Bharatanatyam dancer is trying to do is, he or she is trying to show the emotion. They don't speak to you. So you are sitting there, the Navaras, what they say is, Everything is coming out of them, and you are sitting there, you are understanding, yeah, barabar, hai, right now she is laughing, right now she is showing sympathy, empathy, or she is angry, or she's crying. Everything else you are able to just pick it up just by looking at that. So the body is capable of expressing an emotion even without speaking a word. Now, here is the problem. Here you are actually speaking. What is your body doing at the time? That's all I am trying to you to be absolutely be conscious. You don't need to be a Bharatanatyam dancer, but what is it that you are speaking and your body? Both of them are aligned, and it is quite possible that most of the time it tends to be very dormant. It's not necessarily aligned. ठीक है, मेरे को तो alignment नहीं आता भाई, मैं कुछ करता ही नहीं है. I am just expressing an emotion, and I am not showing any emotion. I am just expressing an emotion. Then, it will be, in a scale of 1 to 5, 5 is exceeding the expectations, let us say, where you are expressing an emotion and your body is also in alignment with that emotion, then you are 5 out of 5. If you are expressing an emotion and if your body is not aligned, if it is dormant or neutral, you are probably 3 out of 5. If you are expressing an emotion and if your body language is going to the negative, then you are completely defeated yourself. Then you are dead. You are communicated, because the other guy will only capture your body language. He will not capture your oral language. आएगा ही नहीं, जाएगा ही नहीं. So you have to be aware. So this comes, Dinesh, by being aware in that situation. What am I doing? Am I kind of, like, let's say, for example, I will tell you some of the things where I'm seeing the awareness. Today, I was just thinking that most of the time in the lifts, I have commonly seen it, right? That how many times you came across either you or the other guy who is co-traveler in your lift, gone out of the lift thinking it is, then he knows it is a wrong floor, then he comes inside. Why? He wants to go down. Upar se aa raha hai banda. You are, let us say, I live in 3rd floor. So I live in 3rd floor. I am trying to enter there. I know I have to go to the ground floor. He comes out. He wants to go to the ground floor. He doesn't know where he is, right? Awareness hi nahi hai banda ko. He is in some other. It is not that. 50% of the time he is looking into the phone. So therefore we can say he doesn't know. Phone bhi nahi hai, kuch bhi nahi hai. The guy is not aware. उसका दिमाग में इतना है, डोर खुल गया मेरा जाने के पास. He is not being aware. So that's the whole problem that we have got. You have to be aware as you are talking. When you are aware as you are talking, your body automatically goes with that, and then you are conveying it. If you are not aware, that means you are mechanically uttering. Then your body language and these two things tends to be different. Dormant is also okay. 3 out of 5 is okay. Many times we are 3 out of 5. But negative ho gaya to bahut kharab. Then you lost the plot. And this is becoming very important. Look, I will tell you, every single time when I speak to a client, a new lead, I take it as seriously as if I was talking in 2012, the first client to whom I was talking. उतना ही seriousness में आज भी बात करता हूँ. थोड़ा कहानी बढ़ गया है, so that there are more new things that I add about Panchashil and all those things are later stories. But the seriousness is the same. And one thing that I try to kind of tell him is that, yeah, whatever this guy is saying is genuine. At least you should convey the genuineness of your thing. And it comes from expressing the body language. And unfortunately, human beings do not record the numbers, they record the stories. Human beings, visual, they don't record anything else other than emotion. This is very clear. So therefore, and then the emotion that is expressed through the body language only is recorded. Emotion expressed through word is not recorded. That's why body language is important. And you'll have to practice it. There are people who have written books and all. We can even, this can also be a course for Apna Ram, and we can reserve this body language because he has to be in person. वो अपना offside के लिए रखते हैं. We will probably keep a body language session in our offside, so that when everybody is in person available, उस time में बात करते हैं. Yeah. Anything else? Master in network now, everybody. Yeah, I'll circulate the PPT. You can think through. and you will have to practice. You will have to, it takes time to get on in this particular stuff. Yes, sir. Any other questions? Awesome. So, I just want to tell you that in CFO Bridge, right, is now, what we are now benefiting from right now is that there are multiple nodes of people. There are many partners are actually now pushing ahead through their network effort. And that's why we are benefiting. Now, I would say, until maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, there was just Srini who was pushing forward. Now then we have got 2-3 more people have joined. Now there are 5-6 people. Now about 10-12 people are, everybody is pushing with their network, right? I think so. Just imagine, CFO Bridge is now benefiting from the combined network of about 10-15 people who are very active, compulsory, obsessive, compulsive networker. Huh? Is that the right word? OCN. So they network and then they push. They always push the cause of the company, and as a result of which is what you are seeing now. Like, for example, so many clients that are coming in and totally new products. Interim CFO was a dormant product. It's not something that we were prepared for. It's not something that we were trying to do, and now it's the product in demand. And then now people are saying interim CFO mean think interim CFO, think CFO Bridge. It's now becoming, at least there are about 4 or 5 inquiries, and there are totally new thoughts are coming. There is somebody else who has asked us to manage a project manager's office for an IPO. Essentially, he wants a good CFO to sit there and manage it. So such kind of inquiries are beginning to come. It's all coming because of the network. It's just powering forward. So many guys are pushing it. It's no longer just one guy. And that's the benefit that we are getting in. And so we are, I'm just saying, from that perspective, if you really look at it, we are very different from a big 4 or a big 5. Big 4 or a big 5 essentially is benefiting out of their name and the fact that they are a big 4 or a big 5. Because it doesn't really matter. Let's say Rogan Sachdev, who is heading consulting in UI. He is Rogan Sachdev, he is in UI. That's why it is working. You can lift Rogan Sachdev, put him in KPMG, he will be equally effective. So therefore, it is not UI or Rogan Sachdev. Sorry, it is not Rogan Sachdev, it's more UI or KPMG, right? That's what is pushing them. It's the brand that has gone there fully. But our story is a combined story. It's the brand plus the individual network of the partners. So, and when that is working, we are doubly very powerful. They will, KPMG has existed for what, 100 years? And that's why they are there. We have existed only for 10 years time. In 100 years time, when I am 100% sure I won't be here in 100 years time. When CFO Bridge, I don't know. We will just be we will be ahead of Big 4. I'm very confident of that. And that's only possible because it will always work with the company brand and the combined effect of the network of all the guys who are participating there. So that's the power of network. It's a very, very powerful tool, and if it is used properly. Okay, all the best. Happy networking. Happy